The movie, 1984, based on George Orwell's dystopian novel, paints a picture of a society under constant surveillance, controlled by a regime that manipulates truth and forces its citizens to accept blatant lies. As I look around today, the parallels between Orwell's nightmarish vision and the world we live in have become too striking to ignore. The last 4 years in particular have felt like an Orwellian nightmare. The lies, the disinformation, and the total distortion of reality by government bureaucrats and the media are beyond anything I could have imagined. What's more concerning, however, is the number of people who unquestioningly accept these lies, even when overwhelming evidence to the contrary is staring them in the face. The recent revision of job growth numbers is a perfect example of this. They had to revise the figures by a staggering 818,000 jobs. Let that sink in for a moment, 818,000? If that doesn't tell you that something is deeply wrong, I don't know what will. This revision wasn't some minor correction. It was a massive discrepancy that points to the fact that we are being lied to on an industrial scale. Everything they tell us is a lie, and yet millions of people continue to believe it. One of the most chilling aspects of this descent into an Orwellian world is the growing attack on the very concept of truth. If certain individuals in power manage to cling to their positions, we may witness the total erasure of truth from our public discourse. Take, for example, Hillary Clinton's recent comments about arresting people who spread misinformation and disinformation. What she's essentially saying is that those who challenge the official narrative, those who dare to speak the truth as they see it, should be silenced and imprisoned. Think about that for a moment. The First Amendment, the very cornerstone of our democracy, is under assault. And if you think it's just free speech that's in danger, think again. Look at the Second Amendment. For years, gun rights advocates have warned that their rights were under attack. But what's coming next is even more terrifying. If they succeed in criminalizing free speech, how long do you think it will be before they start locking people up for saying something that might be true but doesn't fit the official narrative? We are staring down the barrel of a future where expressing an opinion could land you in jail, where political opponents are arrested and silenced, and where basic freedoms are eroded one by one. The assault on free speech is just one part of the larger picture, though. There's a systematic effort to disarm the populace, both physically and mentally. They want to take away our guns, our ability to defend ourselves, and at the same time they want to control the flow of information so that we can't even defend ourselves intellectually. The media, which was once supposed to serve as a check on government power, has become nothing more than a propaganda machine, spewing endless lies to keep the populace docile and compliant. We've seen how far this can go. There have been 3 assassination attempts on a former president. 3. Think about what that means for the state of our country. When the opposition can't win fairly, they resort to violence. We have truly gone full banana republic, where political power is maintained through corruption, deceit, and, when necessary, violence. This isn't the America I grew up believing in. This is something far more sinister. It's as if the very foundations of our republic are being systematically dismantled, and too many people are either unaware or, even worse, complicit in this destruction. We're being told what to believe, and any dissent is being crushed. If we continue down this path, the America we know will cease to exist. We'll be left with a shell of a country where the government controls every aspect of our lives, from what we can say, to what we can think, to whether we can even defend ourselves. The Orwellian future is here, and it's up to us to wake up before it's too late. What happened to the notion of personal responsibility? When did it become okay for people to abdicate their responsibility to think critically and to question the narratives being fed to them? The rise of this kind of passive acceptance is exactly what totalitarian regimes thrive on. In 1984, the people are brainwashed into believing whatever Big Brother tells them, no matter how absurd. We are seeing a similar trend today, where people are willing to accept blatant falsehoods simply because those falsehoods come from a position of authority. The consequences of this are profound. Once the truth is lost, it becomes nearly impossible to reclaim it. We've already seen how difficult it is to challenge the mainstream narrative. Even when presented with clear evidence, people are so entrenched in their beliefs that they refuse to acknowledge reality. This is the danger of living in an Orwellian world. It's not just about the lies being told. It's about the destruction of the very idea of truth itself. But it's not too late. There is still time to push back against this encroaching totalitarianism. It starts with refusing to accept the lies. It starts with questioning the official narrative and seeking out the truth, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. And most importantly, it starts with standing up for the principles that this country was founded on: free speech, personal liberty, and the right to defend oneself. The future of our country depends on our willingness to fight for these principles. We can't afford to sit back and let the government and the media dictate what we believe. We can't afford to let them erode our rights and turn us into passive subjects. The time to act is now, before the Orwellian nightmare becomes permanent. We are at a crossroads. One path leads to a future where freedom, truth, and personal responsibility prevail. The other path leads to a world where lies are the norm, where dissent is silenced, and where the government controls every aspect of our lives. We must choose wisely. The stakes couldn't be higher. If we fail to act, we will lose everything that makes America what it is. And once it's gone, it will be nearly impossible to get it back. Orwell's 1984 was meant to be a warning, not a blueprint. Yet here we are, inching closer and closer to the very future he warned us about. The question is, will we heed that warning, or will we allow ourselves to be consumed by the lies? The choice is ours.